Hello and welcome to Paper Plays Julie Kay.
Welcome everyone, and thank you so much for stopping by to check out my latest video. And today I'm continuing to work on the Full Deck Challenge 3 hosted by Shanuki Art here on YouTube. I do have a link to her channel listed below in the description box. And this week's prompt that she gave us to work with was song lyrics. And so I was thinking of different songs, and I just, for whatever reason, Fly Me to the Moon popped in my head from Frank Sinatra, so I decided to go with that one. And so I did pull out a few things from my stash. I already started a little bit just to make the video go a little faster today. Just because once I decided on my song lyrics, I kind of had it, an idea in my head right away what I wanted to do. And so what I did already off camera, you can kind of see I did do Fly Me to the Moon. And I did it with these little small stamps that I got a long time ago from Michaels, or the dollar bin when they had stuff for $1. I also grabbed from my stash song notes, and the reason why I grabbed those is I was looking at last week's card that I did, and we're supposed to carry over an item from the week before. And so I had the little music notes right here, and I could have used that same rubber stamp, but then I remembered I had a charm, so I'm going to attach that onto my card somewhere at the end. And then I also stamped off camera this moon stamp, and I don't know what company it is. It's just an unmounted one that I bought 20 plus years ago. And so I did stamp it on kind of some gold colored like Star Dream type paper, and I'd stamp that off camera just because I wanted to make sure I had a chance to dry, because this paper kind of has a long drying time when you stamp on it. And that's also why I did the words, because I used the same paper and I just used the scraps that were around this when I cut it out to do the words. And I also went ahead and, again, just because of drying time, I took a piece of black cardstock because I kind of envisioned my back piece being black. And again, we're supposed to use a constant on our cards. And so I've been using this rubber stamp on all of them. And so I did go ahead and I stamped it in this Brilliance Moonlight white color on the black. And I wanted to let that dry before I glued it down. And then my plan is to, because the song lyrics are Fly Me to the Moon, Let Me Play Among the Stars, I also grabbed this rubber stamp out. So then I'm going to stamp that on top of this and do some embossing powder. So that's kind of my plan, and I just wanted to fill you guys in, and then we'll get going on it. I just envisioned right away using that rubber stamp and then stamping some sort of stars along with it. And so I have my sheet here, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp the stars on top of that and emboss for my first step. I'm going to put some embossing powder on that right away. And I don't know what brand of embossing powder this is. I used to buy it like in a big, huge container, and me and a couple friends bought like a huge container and we split it up. So this just happens to be the container that I put it in. And so the next step is I'm going to go ahead and use my heat tool to emboss that. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to glue it down onto this piece right here. And we're also supposed to show like our suit and number. So I'm just going to try and rip here a little bit to show that. See what that looks like. Right, I think that'll work. And I think the other thing I want to do first, since I have my embossing powder and everything out, is I think I want to go around this edge with some of the embossing powder. So I'm going to go ahead and do that first. So I'm just rubbing my ink on kind of that edge right there. I'm going to go ahead and heat tool this again. So I kind of like the way that looks. I think I'm going to do that at the very end, go around all the edges and do that at the very end again. So I'm going to leave my embossing powder out. Let's go ahead and glue this down. I'm going to go ahead and use the Mod Podge again. So before I start decorating it, I think I'm going to try and do the edges. So here's what it looks like so far. I really like what it looks like. And then next I got to figure out how I want to do the layout on here and where I want to hang my little charm, which, you know, you can just hang it off the top somewhere, I think is fine. You know, part of me thinks I could just put half of the moon on here and say, you know, fly me to the moon. Let's see what that looks like. So that would work. And then where do I want to put the charm here? And I think I could just hang that off of the bottom. So I think that would work. And I think I'm also going to go around each of the words with some black ink, I think, if my markers will work here. So let's do that first before I start gluing things down. And I'm just barely catching the edge of the marker on the word. So I'll hold this one up just so you can kind of see it just barely on there. And I think I'm just going to pop up the moon. I have some tape here. Yeah, so I think I'm just going to pop up the moon, and then I'm just going to let it overhang just a little bit because I kind of like that. And then I'll just punch a hole through this piece right here right away, just so I can line it up the same. So there's what it looks like so far, and I just have to attach the little eyelet. So there is my finished card. I really like how this one turned out. It's kind of a quick and simple one, or it felt quick and simple to me. So you guys will have to let me know what you think. And then I think I wrote down what was next week's prompt, because again, I'm behind on these. So next week's is Happy Scraps is next week's. So hopefully I will see you guys back again next week for that prompt. And until then, I hope you guys have a wonderful day and happy crafting.